This booklet is made out of New Lady pattern paper. As you can see, a card, you use 4 cardstocks, which you score in from the middle. You scored 15 wide. That's the width of your little book. You do 4 pages for making this little book. The 5th page is for making little cards inside. So you take them all, you score them all on that little lines, and then you fold them in. And you got your little 4 pages. So there, I used the side of my scoring blade to use it nice size, fold them all up, and when you're finished with that, the next step is to take a little circle cutter, a circle and bunch, and you actually score little half lines, half circles in there. Okay, so the one side's on top, the other side on the bottom, so when they overlap, that's where you're actually going to things. I've cut them back about 2 or 3 centimeters in the back, so it just gives you a little nice space to pull your card out when you have made them. Make sure your tape doesn't overrun. You cut it off, and you do all your pages together. Now one's sticking out a little bit, so I just take the tape off, and actually quite easy to make. One side top, one side bottom. You put your tape. I just do with trimming to neat them up. I like them to meet in the sides, and you do it with all 4 of your pages. Now once that is done, you're going to take these pages and you're actually going to measure the middle, take your scoreboard again, and you're going to score them in half, because that's the middle of your book, and you score them on the side where you have to join them, because that's the inside of the page. Okay, fold them nicely, make sure they're all lined up, and you do it with all 4 of them. And this is basically the basics of your book. So you put them all together. When you put them together, make sure they're nice and tight in the back, because what I've done, I use my crocodile to actually make little holes. If you battle to hold it, to make sure it does not move, use elastic to tie it, or a piece of ribbon just to hold it in place. So now I make cutterback holes in the back, not too close to the edge, otherwise what happens, you're going to miss your middle pages. So once I finish gluing every little page, little bit, cut them all up, have them ready. What I do is I actually, when I glue the one side, I make a hole again so I can see where my holes are. It's because you now will cover your holes. Now I measured a piece of paper about 0.5 centimeters smaller than my page, because I like to have that little border sticking out. So I put it up there where the hole is, I mark it, and I punch a hole again. So you're going to glue that on there. I use a little normal chalk and a sky blue. I just like the color of the blue with this, and I've used a bit of glue all around the edges. Remember, close to the edges to glue so it doesn't lift up. So you glue that all on, and now you can decorate the front. That's the outside page, so you can decorate that. So what I actually, and then decided to use that circle, and I started to lift a little bit. What I have used is stencil glue, which I put on all over my little pattern that you can see, little flowers. Then you put it one side so it can actually get tacky. This one I lifted, and when you lift something, make sure you cover the whole back, otherwise it's going to get little indents when you touch it with the book. Again, back to the stencil glue. You put it one side so it gets totally tacky. Once it's tacky and see-through, you're going to actually feel it with your fingers. Then you take your foil and you push it all on where you actually got your stencil glue. You can keep on pushing it, just moving it around, and remember now the white side to the bottom with your foil, the color side to the top, because that's how it sticks to your stencil glue. And just keep on repeating that action till you actually got it, all the stickiness covered. It's actually a lovely media to use. It is actually brilliant. You can use stickles if you want to. You can use anything. You can use a bit of paint. You can use, there's such a lot of different methods of doing these. You can use what's the other thing, liquid pills. I just like to use a bit of different things. So now I'm going to measure all my inside, all the pages for the rest of the pages. I've cut a couple of them together because it's very thin paper, and my trimmers seem to be able to lock that cat shush. Anyway, I've cut them all. You can trim them each as you do them. But I have a basic size to make sure they're the right size. And I shall measure each one's little circle on a page, and you just put them on. You can actually sort them out where you want which one, and as you said, you glue them all on to your pages. So this is basically just decorating your book to the finish. I just do all the front ones as I page them open, and after that I go and do the other side. One thing you must remember, make sure your books stay the right way up, so you don't, when you put it to, when you finish with it, find out you actually stuck some of the things upside down. There's nothing more annoying than that, and trust me, it happens. So if you use Tombow, of course, you got repositional glue. I had no Tombow, so I use a craft glue, which is lovely too. Not ideal because you said you can't move it once it's been stuck, but it works too. You can use double-sided tape if you want to. So anything to glue it with is fine. There's no hard and fast rule. Only thing is this glue I'm using, as I said, there's no ways of moving it. Now I've covered the one side with a piece of paper, so I now just redo my little holes. So when I'm going to cover the other side, I'm going to actually see where my holes are. Otherwise it's always a problem to figure out where your holes were. So now that's nice and dry. You can see the color side on the top. Just push it all over there, and if you close up, it sticks to where your stencil glue was. If you look at it, you can see there in the back some of the color is gone. That's what's gone onto my front page. So now I do the back of the pages, decorate them all, put them all on. And the thing here to decorate these pages is actually to do them as you want to. There is no fast and fixed rule to this. You just use the size, the colors you want, the pages you want. But I must say, when I was finished with this, I've used one page of each for this book from the Lady Pattern, but nothing else. But I used all. I think the only thing I didn't use is 3 strips, or the border strips. The one border strip I did use. So once I've done all this, and that is all done, you're going to re-punch your holes again, so you make sure they go rise through again, so you can see where your hole is supposed to be. It is actually quick and easy to do that. You've got all your pages ready. You're going to put them all together with ribbon. Now I use random ribbon. Doesn't matter what you use. I like to use not too thick ribbon. I use 4 different kind of ribbons. Just line it up a little bit. Now I've got to do the back still. Okay, to put your, there we are. Now I've got all my pages ready. To put your ribbon on, what I do is I hold all of them in the front together. I put a piece of double-sided tape in the front, and I fold it over, and I glue it, make sure they all stick on there, and then I fold it over, and I cut that in a V. Okay, if you have a needle, it's perfect. If you don't have a needle, this is how you do it. Now you're going to go and take it and go through all the pages right to the back of the book. There we are, that's all done. Now pull it through nicely, and now you repeat it and you take it to the front. I just grab it there with the scissors, break it, and in the front you make a nice tight little knot, because you don't want it too loose, because if it's loose your book is very floppy. So once I got all that ready, I've give it a knot. Remember, it's always left over right and right over left. If you do that, your knot's never going to come loose, or vice versa. Make a little bow, cut my ribbons all at an angle, they're never going to fray, and there the front of the book is ready. Now, to do the inside card, I measure, when I push it in there, in a thing, and the width, I measure how big the cards are going to be. It's about 5.5 by 5, but do your measurements on your book. And then before you sort of decorate them all, make sure they actually fit into the little book. You see they stick out a little bit, so I decide I'm going to cut them a little bit shorter. Remember, you're losing that little piece where it's tied in the back. It doesn't go past that. And you don't want the cards to stick out of the front of your book. You want them to be level with your book. And you can see the circles coming nicely now, because there's some way to just pull the book out. So I'll put one in each one. Now for the rest of my pages, I used the Lady Pattern paper. Cut them all that size too. So what I did with those, I actually joined 2 together, because they for me a little bit thin to actually use all on as one page. If it's two together, it's lovely, it's thick enough to decorate it and put a little photo on it and whatever. I like my little trimmer for this job. It's a beautiful little one. Had it for the last 15 years, never gave me any trouble. It is actually quite a nice little trimmer. You get them in different sizes. This I think is a 6-inch one. Now I use those strips I cut out and all the things that I cut out here. I said I used absolutely every little piece of this one sheet of paper. I used both sides. This is now just plain decorating. You can decorate your you can decorate your pages as you want to. There's no way that you have to. If you don't use glue, double-sided tape. So now you're going to give it a nice fold when you open it. You can see it's going to fold in the back of the ribbon. So there's like your spine. You can in the middle of the pages, in the middle of your pages, you can see that actually where the piece of ribbon sticks out. That's just to tie your book together, which is easy. It's not a train smash to make these books. Even the kids used to love these books. They sometimes need a little bit of hand to bind it, but they used to actually love making these little books. And what I like about them, you can have more than one card in a book. So you can have lots and lots of photographs. It's actually nice for a journaling book. Little cards as you're journaling, if you're writing on them. This is it. So the more pages you want to put, more little cards you want to put out, that's fine. The only thing I don't do in these books, I don't lift anything on the inside. Because remember, every little page you add gives you dimension in the middle. So your book is going to push open a little bit, which is fine. But don't put things that stand up in the inside of your book. You just put nice flat pieces of paper, decorate them as you want to. There's plenty of cutouts in that sheet. I spend about an hour cutting everything out, as you know, but it's very relaxing, very nice to sit. That's the way to clean your mind for a while, and you just have your quiet time, as they call it. So I just add these beautiful little stars and moons and sayings, and I just add all the little stars there. So make sure you glue them down solid so they don't move. I used to tend to use my fingers in the front for the little ones to spread the glue. Wet ones work lovely to clean the glue. And go to the next place, decorate, and you actually just repeat this for the whole book. There's no, I said, hard and fast rule. How you decorate them, how you do them. If you want to, you can even put little photographs on the outside. If it's different people you're doing the book about, or different events or things, you can actually do a little picture journaling with a little photograph on the front, and then in the inside you can do little more pages, pull out pages with more little photographs. One thing in this book, there's lovely little tabs on this page, but I didn't use them normal. I turned around and put them on the little page because I said you don't want them sticking out the front. Your cards is level with the book, it's all one size. The minute you're going to have them sticking out, they're going to bend and they're going to ugly over time, which is not very nice. But as I said, very easy to use, very nice to do. You decide which you want to use where. Lovely to use. Okay, as I said, using Tombow, repositional. The glue I use here is a craft glue. You cannot reposition anything, unfortunately. That is just when it's stuck, it's stuck. But fine to use if you've got enough confidence that you're going to actually glue the things on properly. So using all these little embellishments, they a lot, but actually when you're finished, I said when I was finished here, there was actually not much left at all with the book. Used every single little piece of them, which is just one page is just enough to finish all this. Now in your pack you normally get 2 pages, so with your other page of each of these you can actually then do your big pages if you want to, and a little book just to complement it with, and it's actually quite fun to do if you want to keep your kids busy when they're not in school. This is a lovely little book for them to make. I said all you need with it is a trimmer or scissors for the kids if you don't want them to use a trimmer, and you use something to make holes with, and then a little bit of ribbon, and your scoring. If you don't have a scoreboard, what you can use, a lot of the old trimmers, those especially little green ones, they got a groove. Now they've got a trimming, a scoring blade with it. But if you don't have a scoring blade, you can actually line it up in a groove, and you can use your bone folder and use that as your little score line. So there's different ways of scoring these things. It's not necessary to always score on a score blade, although it makes life a lot easier. As you can see, to make these other pages, what I've done, I added the two together, so it gives you a thicker finish. There I used the one sort of border that I cut up. Now what I've also done with all the pages, I've actually rounded all the corners. Now this little one, I used a piece that's left over, and I actually just stuck it on top of that. Corner pages, you get a 10 and a 15 mil corner punch. They're both nice, they're both brilliant. We had ours for the last 16 years too. Only thing you must remember with it, every now and then open the back and clean it, because sometimes you think, oh, my corner punch won't work, and then you find out you actually haven't cleaned it for a while, and all your little pieces stick in the inside and the back, and it won't punch anymore because it's full. It is like trying to feed to put something in a bottle that's full. It won't work. So remember to just clean it occasionally. I even did the back of the booklet, little journaling thing on it. I said use every little piece of thing that was there. There's another little piece of the border. I cut it like a little flaggy in the front, just to make it look nice. I was short one page, so what I did in the end here, I actually joined the piece of cardstock that was left and some of these little pages there to actually make one more little page in the book. It's a little bit smaller, but it doesn't matter. It's still a little card to put in there. I just wanted one card to put extra to put in, and I didn't feel like cutting a whole new cardstock or a whole new piece of paper. So all I did is I just joined, stuck a little bit. Make sure there's no glue when you do that, so it doesn't get stuck. So there we are, that one. And I found, oh, I was one short. Okay, so what I did, I actually said join some paper together in the end, and I just made a little piece, extra little page there for that one. So just a bit of cardstock that was left over. I measured the width, folded, and I cut it off. I cut a little piece of that. She glued them and then I glue everything together. I mean, that's fine. Just put it down, and then I've just glue those pieces together, and I just cut them in the end, and I glue more the pattern paper, so you have quite a pretty little card to make. And I said, if you're short of something, there's always a way of actually making something more. It is actually quite easy. That's that. I wasn't too concerned in making too straight there, because what I'm going to do, I add something over the top of that, so you can see it overlaps. It's edges is quite straight. Now I do the other side, and there you got another little card. Only thing, when you use glue or tape, especially glue, make sure when you're going to do corner rounder that your stuff is dry. If it's not, it's going to stick to your corner rounder. Only thing to clean that is take a cotton bug and actually use a little bit of benzene, and you put it in there and you clean up all the sticky residue. Otherwise it's not going to punch nicely for you. And there's the last card. Take it a bit of a chalk, and there the whole little book is done. I hope you guys have great fun making this and enjoy your booklet.